Okay, so welcome, Gaby Kappus. Congratulations on winning this year's Creative Thinking World Championship.
Hi, Etan. Thank you very much.
So, first of all, this is not the first time you've won. You won in 2013. I think you were fifth or something like that in 2015 or fourth.
Yes, that's right. 2015 and fourth, right.
Amazing. And my understanding is that in addition to being a creative thinking champion, you've also won in the past, not in the Mind Sports Olympiad, but in other tournaments, you've won memory championships.
Yes, that's right. Like in 2005, I became German memory champion, and also 2008 Cambridge memory champion. Yeah, I really love memory techniques. So I competed in quite a few memory championships. Yeah.
So further, it's really interesting to have such a competitor that, in a way, perhaps, and maybe I'm wrong, but some might say that memory and creative thinking seem to be opposites in a way. What do you think? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I think they are quite opposite from each other, because the memory stuff is very linear, and there are strict rules about how much time you have to memorize and how much time you have for recall. And then the creative thinking is very liberal in thinking, and also there are not many rules, so you can just let it flow and be creative.
So actually, let's talk about this creativity. So this year there were four questions. Can you tell us which was your favorite question, and yeah, and how you kind of handled it?
My favorite question, in fact, was the one about the witch, the lion, and the wardrobe from C.S. Lewis's Narnia Chronicles, which in fact I read quite some time ago, like perhaps 20 years ago. I read them, yeah, and I really liked them. And now there's the witch again, and the lion, and the wardrobe, and you have to come up with a completely other story, but keep these main items, these three. I just enjoy to again to let it flow, and created a little fairy tale.
You're from Germany,
Uh-huh.
and also you actually you did the competition in English, but that's not your native language. I mean, is that difficult? How was that?
Um, since the wording is not which gains you most of the points, and Bill Hardston, uh, his way to handle your imperfections in or my imperfections in the English language, makes me just to feel free to write. So it's not so much about the English language. Yeah, and it's okay if there is one or two typos or mistakes, as long as he can understand what I mean, and that worked pretty well.
So
I'm very thankful for that.
it's all about ideas. It's not about the grammar.
Right, exactly.
That's
Yeah.
cool. So,
Yeah.
so I'm kind of curious, being such a creative type and also memory champion. I'm sure we'd love to know what do you do I guess I don't know, real life when you're not winning creative thinking world championships.
Mhm.
What do you do?
Uh, Unfortunately, I cannot teach creative thinking in that way at universities, but I do teach memory techniques mainly at universities for students, for staff, um, also for academic staff, um, when using the memory techniques for learning. Learning projects. So I'm pretty much into the method of low-key, which I use myself for learning, and that is where I train other people in, and that's my profession. Yeah.
So low key, as in using a memory palace with different locations, basically.
Yeah, that's very interesting topic. I never used a memory palace, because the memory palace exists just in your imagination. You make up a location. I use only real locations that exist in reality, like the Greeks did. Yes.
I see. That's cool. Because it goes back, was it Cicero or who was it that,
Yeah, well, yeah. Actually, Simonides von Kedes, I think. Well,
okay.
that would be the German pronunciation. Simonides von Kedes. Von is from. Yeah, so Simonides. I don't know how you would pronounce Simonides. Simonides.
But, so you use locations, so they're often, sometimes they're outdoors, things like that from real life
Yeah.
journeys, basically.
Yes, right. And also, yes, mainly outside. And then I just don't, I miss the name for, where do you go when you need like nails and wood and stuff? Which market would that be?
Hardware store.
What?
Hardware store.
Yes, they are great for journeys. Yeah, to
Oh,
make journeys.
so you can have different objects on the shelves and things like that. So
Yeah,
memorizing,
yeah.
and you know the store well. That's cool. So, wait, so how many, in terms of actual locations, I'm just curious, since you train with memory so much, uh, how many locations do you have on tap, ready to go?
Okay, in my best times, I had 1,500 locations, and I went to a championship. It was the Southern German Championship, and in that hotel, in that competition place, I met Gunther Karsten, which was one of the best German memory athletes by that time. And I heard him being asked, "How many locations do you have?" And I came to that competition so proud of 1,500 because I heard him saying then 3,000, and I said, "Oh my gosh, that's a few more than I have." Yeah, but I learned a lot of things from him, and yeah, we have a good friendship until today.
That's cool. That's great.
Uh-huh.
It is inspiring to see what limits we can push, right?
Yeah. Are
Mm.
you into memory sports as well, or like the method of Loki? Because you seem to be knowing a few things, quite a few things about it.
Only in a very rudimentary fashion. I read a book that I really enjoyed called Moonwalking with Einstein, which is about a journalist, Joshua Foer, who
Mm-hmm.
wrote an article about the US Memory Championship.
Oh,
And then he decided to learn how to compete. And he studied for a year and ended up coming back and winning uh, when it wasn't that strong at the time, to be fair. But he, it's the book really inspired me. And so I did practice. I learned how to memorize a deck of cards using the person, action, object method. And all you really need are 17 rooms, and obviously yeah, a person and an object for every card. So, uh,
Etan, Etan, what was your time in speed cards?
it wasn't very good. To be fair, I'm just proud that I could do it. Somewhere around like 5, 6 minutes, something like that.
Well,
So
that's pretty good. That's
yeah,
pretty good. The first time I did it with a timer, it was 15 minutes.
wow.
So 5 or 6 minutes. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
What's your best time? I'm sure it crushes that.
I think it was at a championship in the United Kingdom, and it was 54.5 seconds, if I recall that right. Yeah.
Incredible. And since then, I mean, people have just broken unbelievable records, and it's just
Yes.
I don't know. I don't even know where it stands now. It's something ridiculous.
12.74, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Just
Yeah.
goes, whoop.
Yeah,
Uh, it
pretty
is.
much like that. Yeah.
It is,
Uh-huh.
it is crazy. But for me, I mean, just the fact that, it's something that anybody can do. And I do believe anybody who practices, or do you believe that can really, I think anyone can memorize a deck of cards if they practice, right?
Of course, absolutely, yes. And it does not take much time to train, but it's the regularity of training
Yeah.
that makes a huge difference. We had a young man from Germany quite a few years ago. His name was Clemens Meyer, and he became World Memory Championships 2 times. And when I asked him, how much training do you do? He said, 5 minutes per day, but he did it every day.
Wow.
And he was just brilliant. Mm-hmm.
That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, is there any, I'm just kind of curious, obviously you do a lot with the mind. or do you find is there anything in terms of the body, in terms of complementing the mind? I don't know, in terms of, I'm just fishing here, in terms of sports, or anything that you found has helped you in terms of your mental, uh,
No, no, that's a problem. In fact, I'm a couch potato, and I I um, I was in a kind of hospital one time when I was not doing so well physically. And the doctor told me, because I told him about memory sports and stuff, and then he told me very bluntly, your body is far behind your mind. You have to change that.
and
Yeah.
have you done anything about it?
Huh?
Have you tried to change it since? Have you, are you
Oh,
still?
not really. No, not really. I know, but he was perfect, huh?
Nobody's perfect. I'm sure you're being very, very modest as well. And so, well, that's cool. That's really cool. Um, I guess before we kind of sign off, are there any objectives, any goals you've got for the future that you know that you're gunning for?
Yes, I do want to write a book. And I asked Bill Hartston, because he congratulated me on winning the championship, the creativity. And I already asked him, may I ask you a question about the first book you wrote? And he's now expecting that question. And the question I want to ask him is, what drove you to finally sit down and write a book? Because I'm still on the other side of it. I have not written it yet, but I want to, and I really want to know what drove him to finally sit down and write a book. I'm so interested in that, and this is my project. Yes.
I'm sure, you know, someone who has achieved everything she's put her mind to, I have no doubt that you'll do a great job. And you've already shown your ability to be creative. I mean, winning this year's championship in question two being specifically around writing a short piece of fiction, you know, you've clearly got what it takes. Yeah.
Thank you, Etan. You have written books, right?
Yeah, no, you know, so I co-wrote a novelette, which is it's a small book, which is fiction, which I really enjoyed, that involves Duchamp and Einstein, and it's science fiction. So that was fun. And it was a chance for me to combine a lot of my passions. So it's got chess and art and physics and science fiction, and it was really fun. So I enjoyed that. And I also wrote a book on contemporary art many years ago, which I enjoyed. But
And the
that's
title of the first one is
Beyond Contemporary Art is the first one.
okay.
And the recent one is called Duchamp versus Einstein.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, it's I love being creative. I love putting out things that people can enjoy, right? That's also why I like running the Mind Sports Olympiad. It's about creating great experiences for people.
It is so cool that you do this online this year, and I'm sure you have very much work to do from August 1st to August 30th, and afterwards you will have to relax quite some time, right?
Absolutely. I'm gonna take a lot of downtime in September, definitely.
Okay,
But
cool.
It's a pleasure. It's great talking to you, and it's great you know, having people like you from all over the world come and participate and inspire so many people and just, you know, create a wonderful event. So thank you to you for helping make it what it is.
Well, Etan, perhaps you can participate at the Creativity Championship next year.
Maybe I'll think about it. It's always it's always a little bit busy, but I do admire actually that, you know, Bill in the competition tremendously. So,
yeah, and get the feeling of participating. It's really awesome. It's awesome. Yeah, and
yeah, no, I'd love to. Okay, I will try and do it. If I have the downtime, I will do it.
Cool.
Cool. All right, thanks, Gaby. So cool. So meanwhile, good luck and be well.
Thank you very much, Etan, and much strength for all the days to follow for the MSO, and also much fun to you and all the competitors, of course.
Here.